Hi, my name is Corbin Reinhardt. I am a parkour athlete from Team Tempest, and I live in Los Angeles, California. So I was always dumb little kid that was doing flips and stuff like that. So that was always in the background, right? And then I actually got into parkour when I was like 13, 14. I always liked doing what I thought was cool. And it's just what I thought was cool, you know? Like for me, you know, like I was saying, the first thing I started off with was riding motorcycles, was doing motocross. So big air and you know, doing big jumps was a big part of my life. And I think that was one of the things, like, you know, in order to commit to a jump or something like that, you really have to like work on it and get there. So as soon as I got into parkour and doing like a big front flip or a big gap or something like that, it was the same sort of sequence in my head. Like, okay, I just gotta get comfortable, and then at some point you gotta pull the trigger. And yeah, there are people that are very good in the sport that have been a little bit more reckless, and that is a way of being able to get better in the sport. I mean, it just is what it is, you know? If you do a bunch of trial and error and you throw yourself and you splat a couple times, but the last time you stick it, you're going to get better. I don't have that personality. That's not in me. For me, I don't have the ability to just send. You know, I have to have the comfortability of knowing that my body can do it and that I have done it multiple times. Nothing's gonna go wrong, right? But then at the same time, you know, even when you're comfortable, sometimes something can go wrong. So we were doing Jesse's tour, the over off the edge tour, I believe. It was in Florida, and we were coming down from Woodward. It was a cool tour. Got over to Florida, and yeah, just doing a whole session there. And it was just, the main thing was people would come in, it'd be a public, you know, session with the Tempest crew. I was doing some side flip prees, different stuff like that, just stuff that I was really comfortable with. And out of nowhere, just, you know, a lache, which I thought for sure I was super comfortable with. But I think I did like a 180 swing. As soon as I grabbed my hands on it, I just basically kind of went into a flyaway or a backflip, hit the back of my head on a wooden wall, and yeah, got knocked out for like a minute and a half or like a minute. The next thing that I remember is probably a week later when my dad came. That's a bunch of people tell me what I said, and I don't know exactly what I said.
Tell me.
You want pizza?
Okay, fine. If it says Mingongo, go. What does it mean?
What's a Mingongo pizza?
Okay.
Want
If
pizza?
that's Exesmando, how much does it matter?
No,
Kill me.
I have no idea.
Okay, then how come you keep saying that?
Because I want to eat something, and I want you to. You tell me what you
I don't
want.
want to do that. Are you gonna bag something? You're gonna make something?
Yeah, so I got paraphasia, meaning that I hit a specific portion in my brain where I thought I was speaking correctly, but I was speaking gibberish. So I would say like, hey, you know, can I get some Dr. Pepper or something like that? And I would get frustrated with you because I am like, hey, I'm telling you this multiple times and you're just not understanding. And so that was just, you know, that was a tough part. Basically, when I hit my head, it was in the right side of my skull, and I actually broke my head. So I broke my skull, and that led to a brain hemorrhage, meaning that there was bleeding going into the brain, which is a pretty serious deal, but thank God it wasn't big enough for them to actually have to do surgery. After that, though, because there was no surgery, it was kind of a recovery process. It's just all, you know, just naturally let it heal by itself, that sort of thing. I lost 80% of hearing in my right ear right when it happened. Also, I lost a little bit of function in my legs. Like, not function in my legs, but my brain wouldn't be able to send signals to it. So if I wanted to walk, it was a real hard thing to do. So I had to go through 3 months of speech and physical therapy to be able to walk properly and be able to talk properly again. That was the biggest of deals probably for me, because at least in the physical therapy, they would, you know, come in and they would put a thing on the ground that was like the ladder for football. So they say put 1 foot in, 1 foot out. The first time I did it, it was a struggle, man. It was bad because I get frustrated with myself. That's what I do when I do parkour. If I know I can do something, my body doesn't do it. So you could imagine if I'm thinking that while I'm doing parkour, and now my body really can't do it, as I'm telling my body, you need to step into this line, and it just won't. So that was one of the biggest hardships, I would say.
Well, Jesse and I were talking about how crazy it is that it's like the little things, you know,
Mm-hmm.
when you would never expect it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's what makes it so dangerous, I guess.
Sucks.
It's right.
Cool.
Corbin.
Hey,
Later, bro.
I love you guys.
Heal up.
I didn't know what was going to happen. I had no idea. The doctors were telling me not to do parkour again. I'm the type of person where I can't just let something go. You know, if I love doing what I'm doing, there's no point in living without doing what I love. So that was just unacceptable. I just, you know, even if I'm doing small strides, I don't care. I got to be doing something. You know, I can't just be sitting still my whole life. And I didn't have any idea of like, you know, you're going to get back to where you were. You're going to be better than you were, anything like that. I just needed to move. So the first thing I did was when I came back to the gym, I just started picking up the basics again. Because I know for a fact, if something like that happens to you, it's gonna be a big scar, you know, for the rest of your life. And if you let that kind of take control over you, then you're never gonna do it again, right? So the first thing I went back to was bars, because I know that's the scariest thing that I could ever think of. And so I started swinging again, and I just kind of reconstructing, why did this happen? Why am I not comfortable with this? And so just that was the whole idea, just getting comfortable with that right from the beginning. And so it just kind of sparked this idea of, you know, this is not the end. You know, I could still get back to where I was. There's still a tremendous amount of fear, especially with bars. You know, and that's just the way it is. You know, and I think there's a little bit of that is fear, but there's a lot of it that is also, you know, if you're uncomfortable, just don't do it. Because, you know, in all honesty, just a little bit up higher, you know, it could have been my neck, could have been, you know, it could be paralyzed. It's like one of those things where it's just, you take into account everything that could have happened. I had no control over myself. You know, like when I'm slipping or something like that, it's not like my technique came in and I, you know, it's like, no, I hit the back of my head as hard as I could, you know, and a bunch of people have talked to me on Instagram and stuff like that, how they've had the same sort of injury where it's just been, you know, the progress has been almost non-existent, and it's really, really tough. So I feel very lucky to be where I am today. That coming along with it, I think, is a mindset. You know, having a positive mindset with something that the worst thing that could ever happen to you, it's tough. It's really tough. And, you know, you do go through lows and stuff like that, but I think having a positive mindset is a huge, huge form of being able to get back and actually recover. Now I have checks and balances to every portion of my game. I need to be able to be comfortable with each sort of thing and on a new scale than I was before. You know, I need to actually really check. I have these things now where it's like if I do a move, I have to be able to do it 3 or more times to be able to prove to myself that I can do it in the future. You know, and it's one of those things where it's like, I think when you start the sport, you can be a little naive, and sometimes that can be the best thing in the world, because you see kids coming up now that are just insanity. It's like, it's crazy to me. And that's a great thing to have. Now, with that, I think you just have to take a kind of like, you know, just take a grain of salt with it in terms of, you know, this could really hurt me. And just knowing that, you know, you have to be able to be careful and be cautious about everything. And that's kind of the constant, you know, progressing from there. It's figuring that out.